Hello guys, welcome to Fret Friend. It is a Monday morning. I've still not shaken off this cold I've had since last Tuesday. But you know, that is not going to stop us, is it? It's not going to bring us down. And it's new project day, and I've never had one of these in before, so show you what it is. And you're going to know straight away what it is. You think, oh yeah, and then it drops it. There you go, look at that. Oh, that's got to be. It is a G&L. It's a G&L S-500. It's a later Indonesian one. Few quirks on this. I noticed it had a push-pull. I thought, what can that be for on a single coil? It's got to be some kind of switch to turn the bridge pickup on when you're in the neck or neck and middle position, so you can have all three pickups on, or you can go like a Telecaster, have a bridge and a neck on. It's exactly what it does. It is a push-pull to bring in the bridge pickup when you're on these combinations. Blah 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 blah. So you can have all three pickups on. You can just have neck and bridge pickup on if you want to. We can have normal 5 configurations what you normally get on a 5-way Strat. Really fine looking guitar, but it does have its problems. Now, I do know that the owner got this guitar for a very good price, but it does need a refret. Well, it actually needs a part refret. It needs a refret right up to about the 12th or 13th fret, and even going further up the board, we're still quite flat going up to around about the 15th. And I'll show you the problem with this at this end. These indentations here are really quite deep, and if I got them right down, if I file all the frets down to this depth, we're going to have hardly anything left to work with. So I've recommended we go with a part refret up to about fret 13, I said. But then I said I've worked out how much it was going to cost. Have a quick look at them frets, and if you want to zoom in and have a look, I don't know how much you're going to see there. I don't want to get too close, but there's some really bad indentations on those frets. So I said, look, for what you're going to pay for a part refret, for an extra 30 quid, you're going to get a full refret. You might as well do it. Because I was going to charge 130 quid for the work, but then again, you've got the price of the fret wire, which I've got to buy in bulk anyway. I mean, I've got to buy, it costs 15 quid to buy for a complete refret. It's no good me being left over with half the fret wire. So I said, you might as well have a full one, because you're paying the same for the hardware. He also wants a trem stopper putting in behind the tremolo, so he can have it in the right position float, because he don't like a floating trem, but he wants it horizontal. So I said, we'll stick a trem stopper in there, they're 10 quid. And he's going to want a new nut. He doesn't like this nut. I imagine it's a cyclovac type affair. I said, I'll put a bone one in. So he says, you know, do you want to weigh your options? And rather than me go and mix in fret wire, really big fret wire this, by the way, super jumbo, 2.9mm wide. So I've got to order a load. And I says, we may as well, if you do the lot, because I don't know if it's 18% nickel silver or a little bit regular 12%. So I says, we might as well do a lot. So for an extra 30 quid, is having a lot done. So I'm going to do a complete refret on this. And what do I know about these guitars? Not a lot. What do I know about G&L? Not that much. I knew a bit, but I thought I'd just go and brush up on it. And we all know that G&L stands for George, which is George Fullerton, and L, Leo Fender. So G&L brand, I think, did they start, I'm not sure when they started, 1979-ish, somewhere around there. This is one of the earlier models, the S-500, but this is a later Indonesia-made one. The earlier ones were made in Korea, I believe. And did we have an American folk series? But anyway, look at it. The body is immaculate, isn't it? It is. How many pieces of wood is that? That could be a one-piece body, you know. That could well be. No, it's not 1, 2. It's 3-piece. It's a 3-piece body. You can tell it's 3-piece because you can see the lines there and there, thereabouts. So a 3-piece body. What wood is that? I really don't know. Is it ash? Doesn't ash normally have a darker grain? Would it be regular older? I don't know. I've got no idea. I don't know. I've not looked up. I've got a thing here opened up. The S-500 on my iPad. I thought I'd just go and brush up. I was brushing up on the electrics. So there you go. So a quick skim down here. Debuted in 1982. This one, 1982. It's got the dual fulcrum vibrato and magnetic field design single coil pickups. Each designed by Leo Fender himself. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. 3 pickups, S500 switching. It has a push-pull expander switch on the treble pot to allow neck and bridge or all 3 pickups together. I've already read that, didn't I? In a pinch, the neck and bridge combo does a convincing faux ASAT special. Talk about versatile. Blah 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 blah. Unsurpassed stability, blah blah blah. Saying about tremolo, what will be when I've got that trem block on there. Okay. So it says here, available in Irish Ale over mahogany border, tortoiseshell pickguard. This tortoiseshell pickguard was a later edition, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Sonic blue over mahogany border, vintage white over mahogany border. That's not mahogany border. There's no way that that is a mahogany border. So let's flick back, see if I can find one the same. Is the G&L S-500 a strap? Okay. I don't know. I can't find any more of it. I can't be bothered to look at that. So let's talk about what we're going to do with this guitar. Well, the 5-way switch is bent. I'll try to show you that. I'm going to straighten that out, get some pliers on that. So I have to do it outside the guitar, so I have to take it off. I need to set the tremolo. I'm going to go for a complete refret. It will be having the full setup as well. I'm going to make sure the truss rod works. I'll have a look at the tremolo in there. All looks pretty decent, smells pretty nice. I would have thought that would look nice with a black pickguard rather than tortoiseshell. And don't get me wrong, I do like tortoiseshell. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. So I've gone and ordered the fret wire. Now this fret wire is 2.9mm wide. Let's just have a quick measure. And it is exactly 2.9mm. Look at that. Really big. I'm not going to go with anything thinner. I've gone for a slightly high fret wire, 1.3mm high. I've ordered that this morning, so that'll be here. I've ordered it first class. It might be here tomorrow. It's probably going to be here by Wednesday, so I can't really start the guitar today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the frets sometime later. I'm also going to remove that nut, and we'll see if we've got a bone one to fit in that slot there. So that's going to be okay. So that's really as much as I can do right now. I'm going to test the truss rod in a minute. I've not tested it yet. Make sure that's working all right. And I'm going to potter about, do a couple of things. It's got no strings in it, so I'm not going to test the setup or the intonation or anything. I'll do all that when we get the new strings on. But yeah, all in all, a very, very nice looking guitar. Really, yeah, really very good. Neck, nothing spectacular. Piece of maple top. Cheap black dot inlays. I don't like. Why didn't we put abalone in there? Some abalone would have been really, really nice. Not easy to change them on a guitar like this because it's got some sort of satin lacquer over the fingerboard. Anyway, so I'm going to knock the nut out in a bit. I'll show you how to knock a nut out properly in a bit. I'll do a little instruction video on that because I've never done one showing how to remove a nut properly. The electrics are a bit loose. I'm going to have a little tinker about with those. I'll get this switch all sorted out. And the work's already been okayed or commandeered by the owner, Phil Townsend. He's bought a few guitars to me over the last couple of years. Trust me implicitly. I recommended to him, I says, look, what's the point of paying £150, £160 for a half refret when you can have full one for £190 all done? That'd be the £160 for the refret. You've got £15 for fret wire, 10 quid for the tremolo block. I'm going to charge him 5 quid for the nut. I don't charge for cutting a nut on a refret. If you have a nut just cut on its own, a bone nut and cut and fitted, I'd charge you 40 quid. But if it's on a guitar, I'm already refretting, I'm just going to charge for a piece of bone. So, you know, a bit more extra work for me. But the thing is, end of the day, you might as well pay the extra 30 quid because he's going to get 15, 16 hours of work out of me on this. And it would be about 10 hours, 12 hours on a half refret. So, all pretty good value. Very nice lacquered body, this. Very nice indeed. But anyway, that's where we are. So I'm going to crack on, do a couple of bits, wait for the fret wire to arrive, and I'll come back with updates as and when they are available. So something I can do while I'm waiting is I can remove a nut. So let's zoom in a little, and there you go, that's enough. And there obviously is the nut. And what I'd first do is I'm going to knock this out. Now there's a couple of ways I could do this. Normally what I do if I've got a stubborn nut, I would saw the nut right down the centre here, and I saw it down, right down close to the wood, and once I pull the saw out, we've got a big cut down the middle, and I just crush it in on itself and it can fall to pieces and come out. But what I normally try and do first is see if there's an overlap, which there is, which is great. So what I always do anyway is I take a Stanley knife and I will score between the fingerboard and the nut itself, like so. I just score, just in case there's any glue or lacquer holding it in there, and I do that side. I've already done it. And again, this side, quite firm, get right in the corner, and there you go. So now, if there's any lacquer, which is not, if there's any lacquer or glue holding that end, we should be able to move it. And what I'm going to do now is, you could take something like a punch, a nail punch, and just try and tap that through. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take an old screwdriver. And what I'm going to do is, because it's got an overlap, I'm just going to get it underneath, and I'm just going to sort of gently tap under there without damaging anything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my fretting hammer and use a plastic side. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently get under the nut, not get into the wood, but get into the nut and just tap. And you see there, look, and there, it's come free. And there you go, and we have got the nut, and it's removed, and it's come out clean. It's got a flat base, and it's come out really, really clean. Now, if there's any glue residue in there, we could go and remove it with a screwdriver. Now, I'm fortunate enough to have recently bought some frets and files. I have a couple here. I have a 2.5mm and a 3mm, and a 3mm one should be perfect. Then it's just a flat file. Now, I've been told about these, they're not as flat as you think they are. Really? Look flat to me. So I'm just going to go in there and just give it a little work in there, and that looks fine to me. So there you go. I have a nice clean nut slot ready for a new nut. I don't need to remove the tuners because they are under the fingerboard, so I can leave them on. So I'm ready really to remove the frets. Just before I do that, I'm going to look see if I've got a nut. I do stock bone nuts. Do I stock the flat base ones? I should have some somewhere. Bear with me a second. Curved base, flat base, here you go. They come pre-slotted. I will re-slot them anyway. Are they wide enough is the question. Oh, they're perfect. That is absolutely perfect. I'm going to need just to sand that a little bit, but that's it. They're wide enough. It's a bone blank, nice flat base. So I've got a nut there. What I need to do with this is I need to get on some sandpaper, and we'll just thin it just a little bit so we get a nice good fit in there. So we're going to go. We've got a nice bone nut for that there. That's really, really good news. A bone nut is going to look a lot better than that crappy cyclovac one there. I could maybe file that, sand it and get it clean up, but why use that? Get a bone one on there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to come back and later I'm going to remove these frets, and I will show you a little bit of that. I've done a little bit more digging, and I've had the scratch plates off because the pots were loose. And the pickups, the pots were also scratching a little bit, so I want to get some switch cleaner in there. And my recommended switch cleaner, Service 10. Been using this for years, really good stuff. And normally I'd go in under the pots, and where the 3 lugs are, I'd squirt some switch cleaner in there, and that'd be all fine and dandy. But not with this guitar, because it has sealed pots. These 2 gubbins here, they are Mighty Mite sealed pots, so we have to get any switch cleaner once in there, we have to get in through the top. We'll remove the knob, squirt it in, and hope it works the way down between the thread on the actual stem itself. And I've got rid of the scratching on that, and I'll just show you the system in there. Pretty basic 5-way system, nothing untoward with any of that. Like I say, Mighty Mite sealed pots, which I've never come across before. Do I like sealed pots? Not particularly. I can see the advantage of using them in some cases. You're not going to get any dust in there, and they're going to last a little bit longer. But the thing is, what happens when they start to scratch? You have to replace them if you can't get any switch cleaner in there. Whereas if they were open and they've got some dust in there, they had to start to crack a little bit. You just spray some switch cleaner in there, fine again for more years. You get many, many more years out of them. So I'm not a great big fan of sealed potentiometers, but each to their own. But anyway, that's all done. I have fixed, not a difficult job at all, the bent 5-way, straightened all that out. All the electrics are working fine. There's no scratching on there anymore. So another part of it done. All I really need to do now is work on the frets. I'm going to get the frets out shortly. But all the electrics, the scratch plate and everything is fixed. The wiring's absolutely fine. There are no loose connections in there. So this part of the guitar is fine. Also want to mention there's a little shim in there. I know Fender do this at the factory. A lot of their guitars, even the new ones, even the deluxe ones and whatever, come with a little shim in the neck. Why not compensate for not having a shim? You shouldn't need to have to put a shim in there after construction. But anyway, it seems even on this you do. So, you know, that's the way it is. Anyway, I'm going to get the scratch plate back on, and we can move on to the neck. Come back for that. And before I forget, something I forgot to mention. When Phil bought the guitar in, he says, that works, and that works, but this one doesn't seem to do anything, it doesn't work. Well, it does. It is like some kind of spectrum analyzer, not spectrum analyzer, but it's a bass treble, I don't know, booster or something, I don't know what it is, but it does slightly widen the sound, makes it a bit fatter or a bit thinner. It does do something. I'll have to read up on it again, but it is working. It does change the tone somewhat. Why? I don't know, maybe it does certain frequencies or what, or certain high and low frequencies. It seems to be a 1 meg pot in there. I'm not sure, I couldn't exactly read the measurement, but it does seem a little bit different. So it does do something. I'll read up on it and check it, but just to put Phil's mind at rest, all 3 pots are working, doing what they need to do. The pull, just pulling that up, just turns on that pickup no matter what mode you're in. So if you're in single neck or neck and middle, you can also have the bridge pickup on just by pulling that up. The tone, this is a tone as well, it works on all 3 pickups at the same time, as far as I know. I didn't notice a lot of tonal variation on the middle pickup, and I've seen that before on some of the newer special strats that are out at the moment. I'd be more inclined to keep tone control on your middle and your neck and not on your bridge, because bridge, you normally go full out on a bridge anyway. But that's just my my thoughts on that. So we'll leave it there. Regarding the frets, they're coming out relatively easy. It doesn't look like there's been any glue used. I'm just using my new fret puller, G&W fret puller. Not uber expensive, and all we need to do, these are great for getting under frets. Look how fine and flat that is at the end there. And we're going to get these pincers right underneath, and all I do is go to the edge. Just a matter of just getting the edge up and just working your way along, nice and gentle. A little bit of time to minimise any chipping we may get. I've got absolutely no major chipping whatsoever with this. Coming out really nice. It means I don't have to prep the fingerboard for the new frets going in. Might get the odd stubborn one like that one there, but nice and steady. Take your time. Not going to use any heat. There's no glue on these frets that I can see. It's just about taking your time. Sometimes they'll crack out like that. The actual curve or the width of the fret tang inside the barbs is, we're looking at it, it's 0.58. I've already got one measured there, showing you 0.59. That is the thinnest part of the tang. The one I've ordered is 0.6, I believe, so it shouldn't make any difference to the fingerboard itself. Truss rod is working fine. It's on a 4mm Allen key. So I don't see there being any problems with this. It should be absolutely fine. So I'm going to get the rest of these moved out. We have got some small chips in there. Can you see there? Nothing major. It's going to be under the fret anyway, and I'm going to be gluing them in. Now, these edges have been sealed with wood dust and glue. I'm going to be cutting through those. You're going to see the edges of the frets once I've done a refret on this, but it's not something you can really avoid anyway. I'll be cutting the fret tang to exact width. It looks like these have actually been cut just inside and they filled that bit in on purpose. I might actually do the same. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I could just drop fill with some glue. We'll see how it goes when I get frets. So I'm going to cut the fret to exact width like I've done on the last few jobs I've done anyway. So that should make everything easier. What we want to do is, we don't want to be filing with some glue spillage here, but we don't want to be filing in to this side or this edge and taking off any lacquer or anything. So I want to get them cut really right up to there, and all I've got to do is just, when I bevel, is just take a file at this sort of angle and just file that way, so we've got nothing sticking out at the edges. Very simple. You'll see more about that job or that part of the process when I get to it. And that is all of the frets out, and that actually looks quite good for frets that have just been pulled. Have a zoom in there if you want to. There's no glue residue in there because they weren't glued in. But they were a wider fret than I would have actually used myself. I'd have thought a 2.7mm, which is like a modern Fender size, would have been a little bit better. So I'm going to go and talk to Phil and see if he wants to go slightly smaller frets, because we get away with that, because I can clean all this up with some white spirit and we can get all these dark marks off. And if we go with a slightly thinner fret wire, you're not going to see any of those lines. And I think sticking to a more modern Fender type size fret wire is going to actually benefit the guitar. We'll still go with a highish one. But I'm going to see what Phil thinks. I've ordered fret wire for this, but I have other projects I could use that for if I needed to. So it is no big deal. I'll go and talk to Phil, see what he says. And we'll see where we are. I would have thought though 2.7mm wide fret wire would be well enough on this, rather than going to a full 2.9, because that's like a super jumbo size. You don't need a super jumbo size on a Fender. Now I do know this is a 12-inch radius, which is different to a Fender. There's a slightly fatter radius. I can understand why they're going with a jumbo fret, but I'll go and talk to Phil, see what he says. It's no big deal if we use the 2.9 that I've just ordered. It makes no difference to me. I'll just go see what Phil prefers, and in the meantime I'll get this cleaned up, and then I'm going to move on to something else because I'm at a standstill on this guitar right now. Can't do anything till the fret wire arrives, so check back soon. And here we go with the fingerboard cleaned up, and all I've done is I've taken some white spirit on a cloth and we've just wiped over the fingerboard, removed all these crud lines. And I'd have thought if we go with a slightly thinner fret wire, this is 2.9, if we go with a 2.7 modern, we're not going to know, we're not going to see anything in there. So I'm going to recommend that to the owner. This is more or less ready for the new frets. I've just got to recut the slots just to make sure they're all clean, which I'll do with my fret slotting saw shortly. And I'll talk to Phil and I will see where we are. Okay guys, finally the fret wire has arrived 2 days later than it ought to have done, but at least I can move on with getting this refret done. Just bear with me 1 second. Fret wire I've gone with, it's a new brand of fret wire. I've not used this before. Made in Korea. It's 18% nickel silver. It's made by a brand called, is it Blacksmith? And it looks really, really nice. And the reason I got this is, it's the only one I could get quick. And it's a big one, 2.9 wide by 1.3 high. Looks to be really quite good. So I'm looking forward to trying that. Obviously I need to bend that yet, it's still straight, but I'm going to show a little bit of how I prepare for a refret. So we're far from doing the refret just yet. We have the neck prepared, it's all sanded, I've cut the slots, and what you'll see I've done here is now I've put a line of tape all under the fret slots. And the reason I do this is I'm going to be gluing them in, and I don't want the glue all over the fingerboard and all over the neck. So what I'm going to do is I've got a little device here which is a 2.9mm fret with the barbs filed off. Don't know if you can see that, but if you look there, it has no barbs on it, it's just got the 0.6mm tang with no barbs, so it means we can just push it in and pull it out easy enough. And what we're going to do is I'm going to tape each fret like so, and what it's going to do is it's going to leave a line. Do you want me to zoom in just a little bit? I think I ought to. If I zoom in just a little, then we'll just come round here just for the sake of this, getting this right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape each side of that fret. What it means is when I put the glue on, it's only going to hit where the fret's going to go. It's not going to go onto the fingerboard. It means we don't get any spillage on the fingerboard. It means we've got to do less clean up once the fret's in. And I'll go each side like so. Really, really simple method. Just like this. And once we've done that, we'll move the fret along. We'll do exactly the same again. Okay, this side. And this side, until I've got the whole neck done. And all we're going to do is we're going to have these little areas. You see how it's going to work? We've just got that area where the glue is going to go. The glue is not going to go onto the fingerboard, and when it's all dry and we've levelled all the frets and we've peeled the tape off, there's going to be no glue residue stuck on the fingerboard. So I'm going to crack on with that. I'm going to go across down the length of the whole neck, getting everything taped up. I say that a lot of fretwork is in preparation. You've got to set your stall out and get everything set right. There's no point making things difficult for yourself later on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start ripping this piece of tape off, because, you know, save where you can. That side and that side. And you see how that works. Let's just go. A little bit thinner with that one than I ought to have done, but I'm sure we'll be okay. There you go. Trying to save a bit too much tape there by the looks of it. But anyway, that's how we crack on. As I go further up the fingerboard and further up the neck, I will go to a thinner tape. And when all said and done, when I've completely got to this end, I'll go with even thinner tape than that, 6mm tape I've got. So there you go. So now I'm going to move on to, in fact I'll start ripping this tape in half again now, which should be fine. Then I think you see how this works. We'll just press that in, and we'll just do that to the whole fingerboard is all taped up, and then we can start. Well, say we can start getting the frets in. Just double the tape there. There you go. And I think you get the idea now. So that's it. That's all I'm going to show for now. I'm going to get the rest of the neck finished. I've already prepared fret press, which you'll see. I'll just zoom out just a little. Fret press is here. It's just an adapted arbor press with the correct size caul in there, 12-inch radius caul. And it's just a matter of, once we're in there, we'll support the neck from underneath as we press them in, and we just come over and we just press the frets in like so. Before I do that, I'm going to have to bend the fret wire anyway, so come back for that. See you shortly. With the neck and fingerboard now prepared and ready for the frets, we're going to bend the fret wire. And what I've done is a fret bending tool, and I've altered this wheel to where I think it needs to go, where it's not going to give us much of a bend, but I want to bend this. We're going to go with a 12-inch radius, so I'm going to slightly over bend it. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to feed it through and just see that, have I got, yeah, I've got a little bit on there. That's probably going to be too much, look at that. It's going to be way too much bend on there. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to straighten up this piece of wire, best I can. It's not an exact science, but what we're going to do is, I'm going to alter this. We'll do the sprocket at the back, we bring it up, tighten it down, and I'm going to bend again and see where we are. And there you go, and that is probably not quite enough. Well, it's okay. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to turn it down half a notch, and that should be enough bend. What I'm going to do is this last piece, I'm going to straighten this last piece in a moment. But I'll go both ways. And that is looking like it's bent enough. I will take the neck itself and I will check it, and you'll see there, you'll probably just see we are bent more than we need to be bent. We are bent more than enough. And that is perfect, because with an over radius like so, when we press them in, it's going to flatten out as we press them in. I'm just going to check this one, because this, yeah, that's going to be absolutely fine. So I'm going to do the same with the rest. Just feed it through nice and gentle. And there you go. I'll go again this side. So I'll do opposite end. And there you go, and that is as difficult as bending fret wire is. I'm going to bend it as much as I need, and once I do that I will go and cut each fret to width, to exact width. Well, I'll overcut it first, and then I'll cut it to more or less exact width once I've got it close to where I need to be. So I'm going to do that. Fret cutters I'm going to use are going to be my old fret cutters. These are, I do have a new set of fret cutters, but these are absolutely brilliant. These cost me 13 quid. The ground more or less flat, so I get a good close cut on there. And all I'm going to do is, let me turn the camera slightly. I can more or less show you, can't I? Zoom back out. Here you go, that's good. And what I will do is, I'll get my fret block, which is here. See, this is all numbered. And each fret I cut, I will put in the relevant numbered hole. I'm actually on the wrong side, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it, I'll place the fret over where I need to be, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the fret just a little bit longer than I need it. There you go. The only problem with doing it like this is we do tend to slightly bend the edge of the tang, so what I'll do is I'll straighten that back out. Just makes it easier for later. And there you go, we'll count 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We'll stick that in 22. I don't know how many I'm going to get from this one piece. 1, 2, 3. Easy. I'll get 2 more at this end. And I don't mind overcutting them. And I'll straighten all the ends when I get to them. Should get 3 this end. 2 this end. So we're number 1. We should get 1, 2, 3, 4. And we've got 4 there, and that's fantastic. So I'm going to go and cut all the frets. Once I've got them all cut, we'll trim the ends. We'll cut them to more or less just a tiny bit over exact width, and then we can start getting them in. I decided I might as well show you how I cut a fret to fit a certain slot. So I'm going to do that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly nib off these tangs at the end. It makes things a lot easier. And I've got my tang nipper, which I've shown before. Syntom's one this. It's absolutely fantastic. We'll hold it that way. 90 quid this was, but worth every penny. It cuts the hardest of hard fret wire. And all I'm going to do is place it inside there. I'm going to just remove a little bit of the tang. And you'll see there, see that little bit just removed. And again this side, do exactly the same this side. And I'm going to check the width of this tang against the slot it's going in, and we're still quite a little bit over there, so again I'm going to remove it a little bit more, just a little at a time. Same again. And what this is going to do is, because I've cut the tang more or less to width, when I come to filing the edges or removing the overhang and filing this, I'm not going to have a lot to cut. And what I'm going to do is just going to check this fret against the slot, and there, and I think you'll just about see there that the tang is the same width as the slot it's going in, and that's really all I need to do. And what I can do then is I can just, if you see, you'll see it from behind there, I can just nib off that little bit of excess fret. And there you go, and that is the fret. See there? Can you see that? See, the fret is just slightly over the width of the slot it's going in. And it means, like I say, when I come to filing these edges down, I've got less material to remove. It can make the job a lot quicker, a lot easier, and a lot neater. So I'll do one more just to show you. That's number 22 done. We're going to have a look at number 21, I'll measure it up. And I know I don't need to remove a lot of tang, same thing again. Always measure, cut less than you need. Got plenty of overhang there. And what you don't really want a bob right at the end, so we hope to cut inside the bob. There's one there, that's beautiful. If we do make a small mistake and we overcut, we can always move this one fret along and go to the one behind it, like I've done on this one for instance. So I'll now, because I've slightly overcut that, only ever so slightly, what I'll do is I'll move that along an extra one. So I'll go, instead of going fret 21 with this one, I'm going to go to fret 20. And there you go, just show it that we're human. And once we are where we need to be, we'll take the cutter again. We'll just cut that end. We'll cut this end. And we'll have a look again, we'll have a measure. That looks wonderful. And there you go. And that is just the right size for that slot. So I'm going to crack on, get all these done. Once they're done, we can move on to gluing them and pressing them in. And here we are, all done. All the frets are cut to exact width. I cut the tangs first to get the tangs to width, then I cut the edges off. When these go in, I've got all 22 cut. When these go in, I'm going to have a tiniest bit of overlap, and here's the first one, look. All done. I hope you can see those, all ready to go in. But when they go in, I'm going to have a tiniest bit sticking out at this edge. It's going to make it so much easier to file this edge with that, because we don't want to be digging in to the side of the neck, which I'm not going to do anyway. I will keep the tape on when I glue them in. I'll keep the tape on when I file the edges. Once I have all the edges filed, I'll remove the tape and I'll do the final filing and sanding with no tape. I'll be very, very careful. It'll be done by hand. I'll be very careful. I'll use a super sharp file. I'll use a Swiss number 4 cut file to get the edges done. We're going to have just a nice bit. I'm going to do the bevel by hand. Now, I don't do the bevel using the 35-degree file anymore. I do it completely by hand. It means I can have more of a bevel at this end, less of a bevel at this end. I like to do it by hand, and I like to leave more fret up this top end, so you're not going to slip off at the end of the neck. So, fretting it, ready to fret it now. I've got the fret press all set up. I've got the frets ready. It's just I'm not fretting this today. I'm 2 days behind now because I've been waiting for stuff in the post. Royal Mail again, always let you down, don't they? One of their workers said, why don't you just pay for a special delivery? Why should I pay fucking £7 special £8 special delivery for fret wire that cost me £8? Why should I have to pay double? You know what I mean? First class should be first class. Royal Mail a shodder, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But anyway, all ready to get these frets in. It'll be something I may do it tonight. Depends how I get on today. I've got 2 guitars to set. I've got PRS and a custom Les Paul and need a setup, bit of fretwork, blah 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 blah. It depends how else I do today. It's getting on for 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll not be working late today. It's Valentine's Day. I know my wife's got something planned. She knows I know she's got something planned, but I'll be knocking off today around about 5 o'clock. So I've got 3 hours to do a couple of setups on a couple of guitars. If we get that done, fantastic. But I don't think I'll be fretting this tonight. Something I'll do tomorrow. It's not going to be done for Friday as I wanted it to be. I may, at a push, get it done for Saturday, but we'll see how it goes. So come back tomorrow. We'll get these frets in, and we'll see how we go on. Welcome back, guys. Now we do have a little bit of a system going here because we're now moving on to the refret. And the neck is all taped up with slots wide enough, I'll show you, it's best to show you, all prepared for the frets with enough gap there to glue the frets in. And we're not gluing the frets in as such. What we are doing is we are filling the gaps between the bottom of the fret and the slot with, we'll be using Type 1 original. And I have a system going here. And I'm going to show you first a few frets, but it's not a foolproof system. You have to really jig things about because it's easy to press these where I have a flat base, but when I come to pressing these ones in, it's a little bit more difficult, especially these few there where there's that arc or curve, and then underneath I can get a normal neck brace underneath there. So we have to jiggle things about a bit. And what I'm going to do is, first I'll just show that we've got all of the frets cut to exact width, the tangs cut to exact width. We have the 12-inch radius caul in the fret press. Fret press works as such, really simple. We use a slider to slide it along. It keeps everything level when we press, blah blah blah. It works on that principle. Very, very simple. I have the glue on there, and I'm going to install the glue with a variety of implements. I will make sure I've got some soapy water and a rag, which I have over here. There you go, that's the soapy water, take my word for it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get some glue in these slots first. I'm going to do about 4 at a time. And this is basically, but I'm just going to show you one. So I'm going to do 1 fret, that is it. And I'm going to get some glue, I'm going to spread it across this, just this one fret slot there. And that's it. That's as much as I need. I'll get that out of the way. I'll take a damp cloth. Wipe that area. A little bit more glue there, just at this end, because it's not in there. I'm not going to zoom in or anything. I'm going to leave this as is. I'm going to line up a fret, this one being fret number 22. I'm going to get it lined up to where it needs to be. And that looks to be just about perfect. And all I'm going to do is take my fretting hammer, I'm going to hold it in the centre, tap down that edge, tap down that edge, make sure we are across enough, which we are. I'll put the hammer down, I'm going to go over to the fret press, and we are going to press in. That's all the way in. I'm going to hold it for a couple of seconds, let go, and that is 1 fret pressed in. That is as difficult as it is. Wet one side, dry the other. In fact, I'll get another. I'll get a different rag for that. 1 for wetting, 1 for drying. And there you go. And that is 1 fret in. You can see that it's well seated. Can you see there? And that's 1 done. And what I'll do is I'll carry on. I'll just keep doing exactly the same. I'll get 3 in. Once I get 3 in, we can get the fret rocker out and make sure that they are all going in level. I do have a fret rocker somewhere. Now what I don't want to do is I don't want the glue to dry, so I'm going to nip on just a little bit. I'm just going to show these first 3. And again, we'll take some, this is not to glue them in, this is just to fill those gaps. And I'll just take a bead and I'll work that in the slot. And again, with the 3rd one. You don't want to get too messy. It's quite easy to get messy doing this. So what we'll do is we'll just keep go down that line, go down that line. It would make more sense for me to have that bowl a little bit closer. Well, with the camera not in the way, I would have a little bit closer, but no great shakes. 2nd fret, again, lining up. And the 3rd. I've cut these just ever so slightly wider than we need to be. It'll make but with not having a big overhang, it means don't have to cut anything off later, and it's easier to file. So here we go again, hold in this side, press in, and that's as much as we need to do. Getting quite a lot of glue squeeze out there, slightly over radius for frets, but there you go, that is 3 in. You see the little bit of glue squeeze out there. We shall wipe that off, again, damp cloth. Any excess glue we'll get rid of. And go back in the water. Dry cloth. We don't want all the wet soaking in to the wood. And there you go, we are free in. And now this is where we start checking for level. They have gone in absolutely beautifully. 3 frets in. You see there's not a great overlap. It's a little tiny bit. It's going to be really, really easy to file these later. And you see the tang there. It's going right up to the edge of fingerboard. There's less mess when we come to filing later. So I'm going to crack on with that. I'm going to get all the frets in. I'm going to do the whole lot in one go. Once it's done, we will get a radius beam over there. We'll get it all clamped. And we'll leave it clamped for a couple of hours, half a day probably. Or at least 3 hours, and we can come back and we can move on. Now we have half of the frets in, which hasn't taken too long. We can change tack. And we can now use this rest underneath the frets that need to go in. So the good thing about that is we'll remove this piece from here, get it out of the way, because now we're going to be pressing in on the block, and we're just got enough room to get the block underneath with the neck on there. So same principle, getting some glue in there, getting the frets in, getting them pressed in. I'm going to get all these 22 frets done in one go. It's the quickest I've done this. It's going to take me, it would have taken me about 20 minutes to get these frets in, I think. Time I've done. I think I've got enough glue on this little plate here. In fact, I'm sure I've got enough glue on this little plate here. I'm now doing them in 3s. As you can see, plenty of glue. Same principle. Just worry about a little bit of water going in there. It's not going to expand the frets enough to cause any damage. Again, line up the frets. Just tapping the edges. And you can really, not so much get motoring, but you know, it's quite, this is not the difficult part, putting in the frets. They are cut to just over the correct width, and that's it, and there we go. And again, we're going to come in now, we're going to do the first one. First one of these 3 are probably the most difficult. Pressed in, beautiful. Next one, pressed in, and you see how it works. And again, they are in. If we've been fortunate, they will all be level. If they're not level, we'll tap them in with a hammer. In most cases, they will be absolutely fine. Check that one, the one we pressed in before, that's good. That's the 3 we just pressed in. And we just have this little edge here. We shall check again. Tiny little bit high, that's no problem, we'll sort that out later when we're level. And we are now putting in the last 4. The glue has thickened somewhat, so it's not a race against time as such. It will still go in the slots, it's just a little bit more difficult to work. And so we're using a little bit more glue, but this has gone really well. I think this whole process of getting these frets in has taken me about 20 minutes. Once you get a formula for doing it, or a method, once you get a method set, it's quite a simple process. The hardest part is navigating between the space between the heel and this part here. And we're just wiping off any excess glue there. 4 more to do. I'll start off doing them in pairs, then I'll move up to 3s, and eventually I'll move up to doing them in 4s. And I don't know how much you can see there. It's not important for you to see right now. one's not gone in enough, so what we'll do is we're going to tap this one down, and there you go. If you don't see it in the right place, sometimes I try and move across and try and get into the old tank slots. Just turn it over on its side and just knock them down a little. You don't need a tap. And there you go, last one. Make sure we lined up okay. Nearly done. 1, 2, 3, last one. Last one a little bit, it will try and just pop over. We'll get that with a hammer in a minute, just to make sure that that one's level, because the first and last must be correct. But we'll also go back and press in number 5. So you can always go back 1, and there you go. And they hopefully will be level. That's fine and dandy. Just wipe everything off. Check for level. Always check the 5th one. We'll just put 4 in, so we'll check number 5 first. But we'll check back 2. You see, number 4 is a little bit high on one edge. 3's fine. That's it. So number 4, we're just going to give it a tap. I'm sure that'll be fine now. Let's do it a little bit high. And sometimes you do get one a little bit raised up on one edge. We're not worried about that, we'll file it down when we get the level done. Right, there you go. So that's all of the frets in. A little bit high on that edge. So that's it. So now we come to clamping. 12-inch radius. Just enough there. I'm going to get this all clamped up. I'll come back and show you how that went. We're going to get radius block, we're going to clamp it in 3 places, both ends and in the centre. We'll leave this block in there exactly as it is. I could, if I stuck this on there right now, as an extra weight, I could get a clamp on this part right now. Which, I tell you what, I'm going to leave the camera there. If we can just get one clamp on, it's quite central, that's good. Pleased with that. Turn it round. Get one on this end. Beautiful. We will take a block of wood. We don't want to clamp straight to the heel. We're going to do exactly the same this end. Take a block of wood, put it underneath. There you go, nice and central. I'm going to tighten these up until I've got 3 clamps on there, so I'm going to need 1 in the middle. I'll use this one that's on the fret press. As it's perfect, we can just flip this over. I know it's not very tidy, but bear with me, not very pretty I know, but let's just get that round about there, and there you go, we are clamped, and that is it. We have got a radius block on or radius beam on there, we have all the frets clamped. We're going to leave that a couple of hours and we'll come back and we can start dressing the frets. Beautiful. With the frets now in, we need to prepare the frets for recrowning. What we're going to do is we're going to level them, and we're going to obviously do the bevels on the edges. Now, just for ease of reference, I've put the neck back on the guitar just to check which frets are high. And all these with black areas are slightly high, not majorly high, just a tiny bit of a rock. So we need to level. We're going to level the lot anyway. That just gives me an idea of where I need to do the most leveling. But what I must do first is I must remove these sharp edges. So I'm going to remove the neck again. We're going to get the neck clamped up, and I'm going to go across with a flat file. I'm going to hand carve the bevels. I'm not using my 35-degree file anymore. I do it completely by hand, and it means I can get much closer to the edge of the neck without cutting into the lacquer. I've been doing it now. The past 3 or 4 fret jobs I've done by hand. The file I will use will be my Swiss file, my number 4 cut flat file, which is already out. And I'll need to just clean it. I need to brush it off because I've used it this morning to carve a nut. Blah 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 blah. And this is the file I'll be using, and the technique I'll be using is I'll be just going up the side of a neck by hand, and I'll be carving in that bevel, and I will go at a slight angle. And what I'll do is I'll probably have more of an angle at this end than this end. I like to do hardly any angle at all at this end because it gives you more fret to play with when you're soloing. I will show a little bit of that. I'm not filming everything on this because I'm pushed for time. I've got a lot of work on this week, a really busy week. I'm chocker, and I don't want to spend time setting up the camera and moving stuff about. So yeah, already I've done thousands of videos with showing how I bevel and level and crown fret. So really I'm just going to crack on with this and get it done. If you want to see how I crown frets and how I level frets and how I bevel frets, skip back a video or two to any of my refrets and it'll all be on there. I'll film a little bit of it, but I really do want to crack on. So I will come back, give small updates as and when. So now we're getting right down to the nitty gritty, and what we need to do is I've got the neck in a vise, clamped up, padded each side, nice and tight, horizontal. And what we're doing now is we're going to file off the ends of these frets, which I've already done, as you can see. I'm going to show you how I did that, and once that's done we're going to start putting the bevels in, the bevels where it just rolls over at the edge of these frets. Now what I do is I'll take a straight coarse file. I was supposed to have glued this onto a handle years ago, never got round to it, but I normally leave the tape on. Well, I did leave the tape on when I do this, and what I do is I remove the sharp edges, and what I do is I don't go perfectly flat, I go slightly at an angle just so we don't dig into the wood, and I've not dug into the wood. And I'll use this coarse one to get this started, and I'll get as flat as I can, always checking underneath that we've got no light between that file and the edge of the neck, and we haven't anyway. And once I've done that I will then move on to a super coarse file, and this is my Valorbe file. It's a number 4 cut, Swiss made. It's a fantastic file, and it has one perfectly flat edge, that edge being this edge here. And once I get to coming on with this file, always a flat edge, and I'll just make sure we've got nothing sticking out. I'll check for gaps, there's no gaps, so I know we are flush to the neck. And then what I'll do is I'll start to put in the bevel. Now I did have a file that used to bevel for you at 35 degrees, but I thought 35 degrees is too much, so I like to bevel about 20 degrees at this end, 15-20 degrees. And what that does is it makes a bevel thinner, it gives us more fret to work with. And as I get towards this end, I create more of a bevel and probably go down to about 25 degrees. And I'm always making sure, I'm always checking, getting down, having a look, just making sure that we're keeping a nice even cut and we've got no gaps between the file and the edge of the neck, because it means we are maintaining. And we're cutting right up close to the neck without cutting the neck, but we're maintaining a nice gradient. As I get to this end I do less of a gradient, and that's pretty much there on that side. It's super smooth all the way down, it's not cutting into my fingers. We've got a small bevel, well a larger, but slightly larger, but it's only still 50, it's only 20 odd degrees at this end as well. And I'm going to keep less of a bevel. And once I start getting resistance, I know I've cut enough. The beveling, edging and beveling, I always do before I do the leveling. The leveling is the last thing I do. And that is, I think we're good enough there. A little bit of resistance there, so let's keep going till we get rid of that resistance. And there you go, that resistance is gone. And that is that side done, and that is absolutely beautiful. Now, it's not a case of just flipping this neck over And doing the other side, I'm going to basically, I want to do the same thing. So I'm going to turn the vise round and turn this over. Turn the vise round so I've got the frets toward me. It's just the way I like to do it. So the camera is now in the way. So I'm going to move the camera and I'm going to do the other side. And it's the same principle, we just get it in there. Get nice and tight. And there you go. And I'm going to work again this side. So I'm going to turn that around 180 degrees. I'm not going to even film this, I'm just going to get it done. I'm just working at the same angle that way, am I? I don't know if I've done that wrong now. Have I done that wrong? Well, let's try it like that. I'll give it a go like that while we're here. That side's done. This side is still a little bit, still sharp this side. I'll have a go. I don't really like working away from myself, but I'll give it a go. So you can see how we go. We're not flat, we're just off flat. And I can see that I have a little bit of a gap there. Well, that's not so bad. I still think I'm going to turn this 180 degrees and work with the frets toward me. It's just easier for me to work that way. But that doesn't feel too bad. That bottom side's done, that's absolutely fine there. Still haven't got that much of a bevel. Maybe I should give it a bit more of a bevel. I don't know. Quite pleased with how that's gone. A few sticking out here. I'll soldier on. I'll get it on. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this. Once these bevels are done, I'm knocking off for the night. I've got a thing on at church tonight. I've got an alpha meeting, 6th week I think. We're in a 10-week course. So I'm going to crack on with this. This will be done tonight. And once that's done, we'll get on with the levelling. Moving on, quickly moving on should I say, I'm going to be recrowning these frets now. I've levelled them. I didn't film me levelling them, there's no point, I do it in loads of videos, but I'm going to be recrowning, and basically I'm just going to explain really quickly what we do. Because I've levelled the frets, they're flat on the top and I need to create that crown going this way, so I'll be using a 3-edge file to do that. Once I'm done with the 3-edge file, could go with this one. This is a bit coarse, this one's fine. They do the same thing, they have safe edges which are ground smooth so you can't dig into the guitar. Same principle used on each. Once that's done, I'll finish off the crowning with the profiling file, and then I'll be rounding off these edges using, there's a safe edge on one side of this file, and once I've got the rounds there, I'll just file off these edges just to remove any burrs. Really simple. So I'm just going to do one really quickly. I've got a pen all the way across the top of this fret. I'm going to go far side. I'm just going to arc this in toward the camera as I file, and we're going to look for a thin black line down the centre of the fret. Basically what we're doing is we're building up that crown by angling this file. On this side we're going to angle it slightly away, and that's the coarse file. We're certainly getting there with that. Always wipe a file after you've used it. Now I'm going to go to the finer file. Same principle, far side of the fret, I'm going to angle this file toward the camera. Just, you see this side, I'm going to angle it slightly away from the camera. This one does tend to slip across a little bit more than the other one. But we now have that thin black line down the centre of the fret there. Can you see it there? Once that's done, I will take the profiling file, just to remove any burrs and to give us a nice even crown all the way across the fret like that. I will take a fret rocker just to make sure we've not removed any of the height, and we shouldn't because I'm not removing height, and that's beautiful. And all I need to do now is take this profiling file and these edges where the bevels are, I'm just going to round them off like so. 3 strokes should do it. And that is it. We've removed any burrs on that edge. I'll turn it around, do the same on this side, and that's it. That is how we crown a fret. I have 20 odd more to do, so I'm going to crack on with that. Once that's done, we'll move over to the polishing table. I'll get them all polished. I'll come back, show an update when it is available. So just over halfway in crowning these frets, and I thought I might as well show you how I crown these frets. And I will start at one end, finish at the other, like I'm going to do here. I'm not really going to talk though on this. All I'm going to do is I'm going to crown these. I'm going to crown them. I'm going to show the procedure. I'm going to use this file. I'm going to use a profiling file, and I'm going to finish off with just a flat number 4 cut, very short file, Swiss made file by Valorbe, just to round off these beveled edges, so they're not sharp when you play them, run your fingers across them, blah 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 blah, you know what I mean. But anyway, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to work. I'm not really going to explain anything. I'm just going to get a nice thin line down the centre of this fret. I'm going to build up that crown where it's flat at the moment. I'm going to build up that crown like so. I'm going to finish it off with this file, and then we're just going to bring these beveled edges in. So like I said, I'm not really going to talk. I'm just going to file. I'm looking for a thin line down the centre, just to, then we know we've got that crown built up. And what I'm doing is I'm gradually angling this file toward the centre of the fret, just to build up that crown, following the arc or the radius of the fingerboard. I'm going to come the other side. And I could go forwards and backwards. It only cuts on the forward stroke. It makes no odds how you do it. That's the crown built up. Check for level. Still maintain my level, which is superb, and then we're just going to round off, looking for a safe edge. No, this is just a smooth edge, and all I'm going to do is roll over 3 strokes, 1, 2, 3, turn round, do the opposite side, 1, 2, 3, and that's rounded over those beveled edges there. That's beautiful. Clean the file. Remove any burrs. That should be fantastic. Go back to there. Check for level again. Go back 1. Go 1 we've just done. There you go, that's beautiful. Check the one in front. A little bit higher on that one, but that's okay, we can sort that out. And that's it, I'm just going to work and you can watch. No high frets anywhere else now, that's fine. Normally when you crown this one it brings it back in level or in line with the one previous. Safe edge, safe edge. And that's it, you get the idea. I have 7 more to do. You've seen how I work it now. Really, really simple. This is not a long-winded affair. The time really comes into
when you are doing the polishing. So I'm going to check the next one along. Still maintain that level everywhere. Tiny little bit high on that bit, that doesn't matter. That's what I'm going to show you. See, now I'm using these two fingers to steady this edge. This is a safe edge. It's been ground smooth. So I can use that just to steady the file. Always keeping your files clean. Profiling, removing any burrs. Clean the file again. Check for level. Beautiful. Safe edge. And there we go, 6 more to do. Check for level, final time, and there you go, check the next one across. 6 more to do. It's not going to take me much longer to get these done, so I'm going to crack on, get those done, and then we can move on to the polishing.
Swiftly moving on, we are now halfway through the polishing stage. The frets may not look polished to you right now, but they are. I've already gone through 3 grits with sandpaper, being 800, 1000 and 1200 grits. I've got 2 grits to go, 1500 grit and 2000 grit. And it's just a matter of each fret. First, what I do is I do the edges, which have already been done with the other 3 grits, so I don't do it with the last 2 grits. Then we just roll over the bevels, and then we come across each fret. And I normally wet my finger just a little bit, just so it holds the paper. And we are going to get across the top of the fret. And then we're going to get into the corners, inside the corners there. So that's just at the back of the fret there. And then we get into this corner at the front of the fret. And then we go again across the top of the fret. And what we're doing, because we're using finer grits of paper each time, every subsequent polish, we are removing lines, we are removing scratches, and we are bringing the frets to more of a shine. By the time we've gone through with a 2000 grit and finished off with a steel wool, these frets will be glass-like. They'll be super shiny, they'll be scratch-free, and they'll be fantastic. So I'm going to crack on with this. I've got, is it 21 fret affair? This one, I'm not sure, 21, 22, whatever. Followers, I've got about 60 more to do, because I've got 3 more lots of polishing to do. I'm going to move on to the next one. The more you do this job, the better it gets, because when you start doing it, you really ache. Your arm aches, your fingers ache, blah, blah, blah. But when you start doing a lot of them, you're doing a regular, you don't ache anymore. So it becomes a lot easier. And there you go, that's the second one done. And there's enough paper here on this, just this one piece, to do all of the frets. So there you go, that's looking great already. So I'm going to crack on. There's some 1 more grit to do, then the steel wool, and then we can get the tape off and get the neck back on the guitar. Very good. And there we are, guys, and the frets are all done. You can agree, but that looks pretty good. Nice big frets these, 2.9mm wide. Over 2.9? Yeah, they are. Absolutely brilliant. Really good looking frets. I've tried a new brand. These are, I think they're Blacksmith brand. 18% nickel silver. Not quite as shiny as some of the other stuff. It's got some, from some angles it looks like a satin finish, but I think they look really good. I'm really pleased with how they've gone in.
nice and smooth all the way down, lovely beveled edges here. But I've made the bevels, I've not made them too pronounced, I've made them more or less, you know, about 10 degrees. They're not too, well, probably a bit more than 10 degrees, about 15 degrees, but not too deep, so you get more fret to play with. You're going to have a lot more fret to play with, especially down this end. Look at that, I think in there. Any good? Fantastic. So, I'm going to put a new nut in there, I'm going to carve a new bone nut, put a nut in there, and we're going to get it back on the guitar, get it set up, and the guitar will be ready in a couple of hours, so check back soon. So now I'm cutting a new nut, and I always cut new nuts freehand, and I've got a nut blank here, bone blank. It's got grooves in the top, which I'm probably not going to use, I'll do my own anyway, but this is wider than the one that came off, quite a bit wider, and I've already started filing it off, and you'll still see, put them back to back there, still got to take off another 3/4 of a millimetre this side. It fits the slot perfectly. You see there, I'm just carving in with a file, and I do it all by hand and eye, and just measure as I bring it back toward the guitar. And what I'll do is I'll get the width right. Once I've got the width right, and I don't know if you've ever carved bone before, it smells when you carve bone, it's a little bit smelly. But anyway, once you've got the width right, you can look at shaping the knot. So what I'm going to do is just keep taking the knot to the guitar and just feeling down that side. That's good. We are probably 1/2 millimetre away from where we need to be. So again, not my sharpest file, but it does remove material quite quickly, and we're getting close to where we want to be. You can't really see where I am with this right now, but I'm just measuring up my knot, and we are very, very close. We are 0.2 of a millimetre away from being where I want to be. I'm hoping this knot's high enough, because it is cut quite low, but I think it's going to be high enough for a fret. So I'm going to be more or less there with this now. Make sure I've cut it straight. The shaping across this top here I'll do in a little while. In fact, I think we are there with that. A tiny, tiny bit. I'm looking where that is right now. That's good. What I'll do is, once I get this to the size, I'll go and get a finer file. I'll get my number 4 cut Swiss file, which is really, really smooth. And we'll finish. It's not, I think that's about there. Very good. Right, we're good. I just need to start coming over a bit now. Just rounding off this corner. Carving knots has to be a very, very satisfying job, because when you get it right, they look fantastic. I have been complimented on my knots, but I'm talking guitar knots here, I'm not being naughty. And there you go, and that's pretty much where we need to be with that. And I'm just going to, I'm quite happy with that. Very good. I'm going to take a bit off the far side now. Don't want to take too much off, because take too much off, the nut's too thin, we've got to go and cut another one. So that is the nut cut. Am I happy with that? No, it's still overlapping just a little bit too much. And there we go, that's good. It's good that side, it's good that side, it's good from there. So I'm going to get it glued in. We'll get some strings on. I'll put a little dab of glue in there just in case it needs to come out, because it is possible that it may not be high enough. Back later. And there we are, friends, and we are all finished. And what a cracking guitar. I've just had it plugged in, playing it on the these two pickups, split between the middle and my neck pickup. Sounds fantastic. And there you go. And I'm going to try and remember what this guitar's had. I'll continue talking. Right, okay, so it came in, and there were a lot of warm frets, right up to about fret 14. So I said, we could do a part refret, but for an extra 30 quid, you might as well have the full lot, because I'd had to buy all the fret wire and that anyway. So it's had a complete refret, and it's come out really, really very well. And one thing I've done, which I don't always do, is I've also sealed the ends of the fret ends here. Just want to zoom in and have a look at that. And a couple of other things it had. Obviously needed a setup, needed a new nut cutting. I've put on a brand new bone nut, which is hand cut by myself. There you go. And we've put a trem stopper inside. That is a block which sits on the tremolo block inside by means of a screw thread, but it's screwed into the bottom as a bolt, and that tightens up to the block on the tremolo, and it means the tremolo cannot be pulled back at all, so the guitar will always go back into tune. I've tightened the springs right up, so 3 springs on there, really tight. It is basically a hardtail guitar now, and that's really it. So it's come in, it's had a complete refret. We put a trem stop on there, checked all the electrics and everything's working absolutely fine, and it's had a refret. That's it, refret and a new knot. So fantastic project this has been. Really enjoyed it. The guitar looks fantastic. It is a G&L S-500 guitar, one of the older ones, tribute series. What a fine looking guitar it is. So, the owner's on his way to pick this up now, I imagine. I've got other stuff to do this afternoon, I've got another one to get finished, so I'm going to crack on. So this is me, Victor Christian, your fret friend. You can catch me now, new website's up and running. You can now catch me at fretfriend.co.uk. That's fretfriend.co.uk. You can also check me out on Facebook still, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/ngoneseven. Check the website out, fretfriend.co.uk as well. And that's it. So, signing off till the next time. Project finished. Got other things to be getting on with. So, till next time, boys and girls, I'm Victor Christian. I'm your fret friend. God bless you. Catch you next time. Be good to each other now.